Hello, beautiful souls who are finding this video and watching. I am coming to you from Cape Town, South Africa, in my warm, cozy gear because it's very cold here. Yeah, no time for making myself beautified just because of having a baby, and yeah, time to do videos is quite limited with what I have going on in life. I just wanted to chat a little bit more regarding reality, creating reality, the timeline for September, and the layers and levels in which we need to understand and grasp things, however they are separated. So I was explaining with my interview with Anina, which I put on my YouTube channel, that no matter what is happening, we are creating our reality as we go. So we are pulling plasma. I've got a drawing somewhere. We're pulling plasma light. So plasma light, as I've been shown, is light that spirals. Let me see if I can find something here. Okay. Got sound, travels like that. Geometry, that's my little idea of drawing geometry. And then light. This is photonic light. Plasma light looks something like this is not accurate. Trying to draw a spiral type of shape. Plasma light is like a continual stream of swirling light that interacts with, that is continuously flowing. The geometry that I talk about, so the geometric shapes and patterning that I speak about, that is photonic light, as I've been shown. I have not studied quantum science. I'm not a scientist. I haven't looked up these principles. So I go on the information Spirit gives me. And as that information grows and shifts and changes, I will add to the teachings and the knowledge that is coming forward through me. So I was actually specifically asking about photonic light today. And that's where I was told that it is like it's light that is vibrating, but it's not moving in a trajectory. So plasma light you can witness, and photonic light you can witness, so you can see it, but they do not form any coherent solid matter. So when these things come together, the photonic light in a geometric sequencing, so in geometry, the plasma light in its spiral of movement that would move through the geometry, and the sound frequency, which is the hertz, those things pull together to create matter. And those things are pulled from antimatter. They line up and sync with our patterning. So we've got geometric sequencing and patterning that we're sending out of our body into our field. It's interacting with everything around us. We're also sending out a sound vibration around us. So think about a holographic bubble around you, a hologram. The simplest way to think about it is you exist and there is a bubble around you. This bubble is what is continuously creating and making things physical. So your consciousness, and from one perspective, is giving it physicality. From another, it is actually flickering out of you through your consciousness, but also through the geometric sequencing and patterning, plasma light, photonic light, geometry and sound. So those things come together to form a structure. The reason why I wanted to chat a little bit about this was because there are obviously layers and levels in dimensional space. So when I was talking about in my last interview, when I was talking about dark structures being able to influence timelines in the ether through technology and through ritual. Everything is linked and correlated. So that's why we have so many things where it's like, is the answer yes or is it no? It is both sometimes. Often it is both, depending on the perspective and the dimensional reality in which you're looking at it. So when the dark structure are trying to influence a timeline, there are certain things they do in the physical that have to be done in order to influence a collective timeline. And there's certain things that they would do within the ether that would influence that timeline. However, when we come back to this inverted false matrix in which we reside, so this hijack, the hijack is interesting because in one sense it is an AI dome, but in another sense, it's us that create it or feed it through the systems that have been set up that keep our vibration low, keep us in separation, keep us in fear, keep us in lack. So, like, for example, the banking system is being set up, or the financial system has been set up to not actually serve us. The governmental systems in terms of tax and tax is a great example. Debt and loaning money. It's set up to drain us. So it's not for us. That is a matrix system to keep us in very low frequency, because I always say to people, if you cannot feed your children, you cannot put food on the table for your children, how are you supposed to be in your bliss, love, and joy? It's almost impossible. So from one perspective, it's a physical thing because the banking finance system is a physical thing that's been put in place. From another perspective, we feed it because we exist and play with it as if it's our only limitation, because we've been taught that. And from another perspective, there is a etheric quantum understanding from the dark side in terms of an actual overlay AI holographic reality. So these things all work together, and it's really hard. And I always talk about this, there's a tapestry that's woven, and it's very hard to separate it really simply because it's not that simple. It's very layered and convoluted. And I will get into, I'm sure as I speak a little bit more on YouTube and I do a few more videos, I will get into more details around these structures that are one but also separate, different dimensional fields, and also the same. So from one perspective they are the same, and from one perspective they're all separated and different. But coming back to you creating your reality, when people talk about transcending the matrix or breaking free from the matrix or whatever you want to call it, it's simply it's a decision and a consciousness and awareness to not play with the limitation that is provided in a physical way on earth, as well as an awareness around your divine ability to create. So remembering the divine spark and soul that you are, as well as the awareness when things pop up in your physical reality, like limitations, that they don't have to be so. So let's give an example. If you, let's use an example, if you're working in dollars, but you're in a different country. So your income is linked to the dollar. And if the dollar crashes, for example, and then all of a sudden your income drops, if you stay in a space of not fear, not linked to what is happening on a global level, you will either be guided beforehand or after, or whatever it is that needs to happen. You will be able to move through that experience that's affecting a lot of people. And I don't want to say always, because sometimes there's a lesson to be learned. So it's really individualized. but you will be presented with solutions and opportunities when you are connected, when you are aware, and when you're not buying into. So the more mass fear is pushed, the more it creates that on one level. So there are a few things playing out. So there is a collective timeline, and then there is always an individualized, personalized timeline. When we have the awareness of that, and we're able to see that and understand that if you carry on creating your own reality without going into the fear, with that, and this is where people talk about the word faith, trust, connection, because you individually will be guided, and yours will look different to someone else's, of course. So you will be guided when you are doing the work to connect to yourself and doing the work to work through your limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are such a huge player in what we create. So they are essentially the cog, the wheel that's turning, that's moving the machine, that we're not always aware of. This is why I'm so pro doing healing work and diving into the shadow aspect of self, and the unconscious mind, and bringing awareness to that. So my work really encompasses the very basic, I call it basic psychology. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not trained in psychology, so don't misinterpret that. But basic psychology principles, psychological principles, up to the very quantum cosmic. Let's look at all your past lives and lifetimes and soul experiences and gifts on other planetary systems. And I've done a video around your soul's blueprint. So all these things work together. But when we start with self, and we start with awareness around our belief systems, and we start to form an idea around geometric coding and sequencing and patterning. So if you actually close your eyes and you feel into your body and you ask to see, you would be able to see the geometry. It will present itself to you, and the frequency of the sound wave that's being emitted from your body. That lines up with, sorry, it's getting dark here. That lines up with geometry from the ether. So I spoke a little bit about that, and that pulls into physicality. So antimatter into matter. When you're aware of that and you're able to be the observer, move out of the fear, move out of the all-consuming thoughts, the emotions that consume you, then you're able to intentionalize and create a higher timeline without being attached to how that timeline is going to play out. So without being attached to outcomes. So it's not like you're sitting there and you're going, okay, so I want a Rolls Royce and a holiday to Greece, or I want a Rolls Royce and a 5-bedroom house. Yes, those things are possible for you to have if that's what you really desire to manifest, but not being attached to how that comes into your reality and when that comes into your reality, and also the specifics around it. Maybe it's not a Rolls Royce, maybe it's something slightly different, but it's actually better suited to you. Maybe it's not a 5-bedroom house, maybe it's a 3-bedroom house in an area that actually you didn't realize was better suited to you, because there is a guidance team working behind the scenes, which is your higher self. Your higher self is a future version of yourself that is working with you and for you and seeing things from the eagle's eye perspective. Anyway, the other thing I really wanted to talk about was water. So water is quite a hot topic at the moment. I've been downloading lots of information around it without knowing that it was a hot topic at the current time. It's just come into my field. So this is how things work. I will download information and then things will present in my reality to confirm the information I'm getting, or to, that'll just I'll start receiving in my external environment, in my holographic reality, I'll start receiving, let me turn the light on quick. I will start receiving and viewing videos and all kinds of things that are in relation to the information that I'm getting. It's like my higher self, my universe team, just giving me little nudges along the way. The thing I really wanted to say about water, which is I am so excited about and amazed with, because it's a personal story to me. My little boy, who's 9 months old, his birth was quite traumatic. It's a long story. But from birth, he had terrible cradle cap, very flaky skin, and everyone said, he'll outgrow it. But I had a feeling that the skin issue was ongoing and it was a little bit deeper. And so it's actually eczema. I had a very bad eczema as a small baby. My mom speaks about it all the time, and how she healed me through evening primrose oil and not being on any acidic foods. So like no nachos, oranges, lemons, or we know lemon is alkaline, but blueberries, those kinds of things. And I thought, with my little boy, I've been trying to feed him super organic, raw fruits, and he gets vegetables, and anything else is very thought out when it comes to his food. And I refuse to believe that blueberries and these beautiful gooseberries and these beautiful fruits that nature has to give us are adding to his skin problems. So I was prescribed, the only time he's been to a doctor, he's unvaccinated, my little man. He's never been on any antibiotic or anything like that. He's never had a needle put in his body. But the only time I went to a doctor was just to get a second opinion on his skin. And they did prescribe me a cream which had a very small amount of cortisone in it. And the reason I tried the cream was because there was a fungal cream, and then there was for eczema cream. And I just wanted to, check that which it was. And it turns out that the cortisone cream didn't heal. It's a Band-Aid. So it's masking a symptom. It did take away the eczema. So I was like, okay, I'm not doing the cortisone cream anymore. I got a hold of an amazing friend of mine who works with original medicine. So I do a lot of the healing work, the energy work. And then I always tell people we need to have on the ground healing properties that we can take. So we work with modalities together. I don't just work with one thing. And often spirit will actually give me information about what someone might need for their body. Anyway, so my friend, she's incredible. She suggested organic hexane-free castor oil to rub on the liver, because sometimes it's toxins in the liver that are causing skin problems, which makes absolute sense. I'm sure I had toxicity in my body. Everybody does. And my little boy is super sensitive, a little star being. So I was doing that, and it takes a while to clear skin problems, but also his stool was not great. It was very constipated type of, and that's generally another sign of the liver. Why am I going into my child's stool on a spiritual channel? I just want to explain to you, because it's been so profound for me, this work, and I want to share it, this information with others. So other than the castor oil, and I do give him minerals that have frequencies programmed into them, I take them myself too, which is like information program. It's like specific information that will work with your DNA in your body. I started in the bath about a week ago. When I poured water over him, I started asking the water for the codes that it holds to please work with those codes to heal his skin. And since I started asking the water to heal his skin and work with him, I was bathing him this evening, and it was incredible. Because yes, the castor oil, yes, the diet that I keep him on, which is great, those things all add to it. But Spirit did say to me, it's accelerated due to you speaking to the water. Now, it's really interesting because when I'm showering, sometimes I forget. I was like, oh, I really need to ask the water when I'm showering to do specific things for my body. But there's a lot of talk around water at the moment, and the consciousness it holds, and the frequency and the patterning and the geometry. But the geometry of water can change. So a lot of people speak about speaking to your water, like speak love over it, or, and that changes the geometry of the water. It creates different crystallized types of geometry and structure. But what I've been shown from Spirit is that you can actually ask water. You can ask water to help you with things without even being in water. But I think it is great to be in the water. And so water, I downloaded a bunch of information about how water is the closest physical element we have to plasma light. So it's like pure plasma light in a physical form on our planet. But it's also, the water that we have has been around since the beginning of our planet. So it holds like Akashic records within it. It holds all the information. And because of that, all the information it holds all the keys and the codes as well. So it can change. So water can adapt and change. And I was also told that water cannot be corrupted. So in its original essence, it can contain within it contamination. So it can hold contamination, but its actual structure can't be contaminated. So whatever water you're working with, or you have around you, or when you're showering or when you're bathing, I just wanted to encourage everybody to actually ask water. So ask it out loud, speak to it, and ask for it to heal whatever it is that you're working with within your body. And try that for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Consciously communicating with water as if it is an actual person you're talking to. So that's also where that comes in, that heart coherence, the trust. So there will be a vibration that you send out whenever you pray or you ask anything for anything, anything for anything. If you're asking water, it depends on your level of open-heartedness. So if you go, okay, I'm going to do that experiment, but this is the biggest load of bullshit ever. Yeah, you're not going to match up with that. But if you step into I'm really open and curious, and I believe that this is a possibility, you might be really surprised by the outcome. Obviously, I get this information from Spirit. So when I start to work with the water over my little boy, I trust that the water will do what it needs to do, and it will take the codes that it has within it to work with his body and his frequency specifically. So it's just something to try. It's definitely taken his skin healing journey to the next level. There's a few things I want to work with it within my own body, and I'm going to start tomorrow when I shower, working with the water. But yeah, it's just something I'm really excited about. So we're creating our reality. There we have tools in the physical, and it's not just healing properties water holds. It's codes to so many things: abundance, bliss, love, joy. There's a whole plethora, like a sliding scale of things that water holds information, keys, and codes to. As I said, like an Akashic record. And because of its nature and its adaptability and its consciousness, it does respond to an open-hearted frequency that asks of it. We do know that when people want to channel information, water is a conduit for that. So it's just taking it a little step further into water having the ability to actually do the healing work in the physical, on your physical body. So I'm going to end that there because I'm a tired mama, and just wanted to get that out there. Sending lots of love, whoever finds this video, and we will hopefully all see each other soon. Bye.